This is the Global Podcast Network, where executives and professionals connect, share, and inspire. Stay tuned for the conversations that drive success.
And welcome back, everybody. If you want to feel good, you want to have joy in your life, maybe feel what they call grounded, just just elation in your life. Do this. Grab one of these. Yeah, I know you might not be able to see us if you're listening, but I'm holding a pen. Could be a brush, could be a crayon, could be pastel, and draw something, to create something. No judgment. I don't want to hear, I'm not an artist, I can't do it. Stop that. We all have artistic ability. And even if you think you don't, you're expressing yourself. That is therapy. She's somebody that helps people with this all the time as an art therapist, and I've learned so much so far from her as our professional of the year. We're going to take you on a journey today. I do believe a meditation that's going to connect with you, and that's courtesy of Barbara Robertson, who's back with us. How are you doing today?
I'm doing great. Thanks, Steve. I want to invite everybody who's listening to give themselves a little bit of permission to play and to let your imagination jump in and do a little exploration with us today. So, in the practice of art therapy, yes, I do often encourage my clients to pick up something that will make a mark or make a dent and work with drawing an image or impressing something into clay, building something out of cardboard bits and pieces that I gather from recycled packaging or whatever it is. And today I want also to include just the experience of a mental image or sensation as another way of containing an expression of something that might be true for you.
Hmm. I have to say, before we even go any further, when we get together, I think of you as an artist. I just do. But then I almost forget that you're also a therapist. So it's an interesting view of just everything that you offer. And I can't forget that you are a therapist. So you run deep in terms of helping people, what we're thinking. But therapy, art is therapy, and we need to realize that. I don't think we even just mowing your lawn. For me, I sold my house a couple of years ago. I miss mowing the lawn. It was, for me, it was therapy because it would
Yeah.
take me out of normal activities, and maybe it was the drone of the lawnmower or whatever it might be, but I was in a zone. I would just think, and it was just a happy spot, whatever it might be.
Yeah, I totally get that. When I was in my 20s, we had a real lawnmower, REEL, not electric, just the kind that has blades that go around the cylinder.
Push mower,
Push
yeah.
mower, yeah, exactly. And I used to love to use that in the backyard because we were surrounded by trees and I could hear bird song the whole
Mm.
time I was out there mowing the lawn. And a couple of times I heard this very distinctive call that I figured out was the Baltimore Oriole. Oddly enough, this was when I lived in Connecticut, not near Baltimore as I do now, but
Wow.
it was just one of those vivid experiences that
Maybe
I
that bird was calling you to Baltimore.
it might have been. You never know. The universe behaves in mysterious ways.
For sure, for sure. So when we talk about artwork, you've said that you compared it to heart work.
Right. And I want to play around with that notion today a little bit. So, in our culture, we talk about the heart as a place from which our emotions come. And we have all kinds of figures of expression in our language that ties the heart to some kind of emotional status or state. And I looked into this a little bit because I did have one client who didn't know what I meant when I mentioned, what's in your heart, and kind of took it concretely, like, well, no, my heart is a muscle and it's pumping blood through my body. Yeah, that's right. And sometimes we also talk about the heart as something that is like the home of our emotions, or maybe the source of our emotions in some way. And I looked it up and I found that as far back as Aristotle, which is over 2,000 years ago, people were talking about the heart as kind of an essential emotional or psychological root of our being, maybe of our being human. So,
Hmm.
first thing I want to invite our listeners to do is to imagine that you have a spark in you. Imagine that we all do. Each and every one of us has a little spark in us that maybe it contains life force energy. But in my imagination, what it also contains is the pure essence of us. So each one has our own because we're unique among the billions and billions of us. No one else is our identical twin. Even if biologically or in DNA we are, each person is their own unique self. So imagine you have this little spark that contains the pure essence of you. And that pure essence of you is kind of what provides the energy to our whole system. It provides the extra motivation when you see something that you really resonate with, or something that you really love, or a person that you fall in love with. There's something about that little essence of you that knows when there's something that is in harmony with it.
Hmm. All right, I want to process this. So,
Okay,
do you
so
mean
yeah,
that
so
it's something that your heart connects with? That moment of joy is the best word that comes up. That whatever it might be, that it's heartfelt. I guess that's the best description.
excellent, excellent, excellent term. That's right. That it's heartfelt. It's sort of where your authenticity lies. It's
Hmm.
where your genuine self exists. And often, in day-to-day life, we do need to mask that and protect it a little bit because people are not always welcoming to what we, have to offer. It depends on various and sundry situations and what we've experienced growing up and all that. But let's assume that that part is always there and it can't be damaged. It can duck for cover, but
Hmm.
it's going to be there. So imagine now that you have a sensation of that spark existing somewhere in or around you. I want to invite you to imagine where might that spark of pure essence of you feel most at home. That may be in your body somewhere or around you. Just let that idea settle in. And if you're open to it, invite yourself to notice where might that little spark of energy feel so comfortable. What might be its home base?
Hmm. Are you asking?
I'm asking, I'm about to ask you, Steve, if anything in particular came up for you.
Doing this.
Ah, okay. Yeah, so you're in the studio, you're talking with somebody, you're inquiring about something that you feel curious about. Yeah,
But most specifically about things like this topic, call it metaphysical, call it holistic, in that whole wheelhouse. Sure, I've done podcasts with attorneys. I can do a podcast with interior designer. Doesn't matter. And that's all fantastic. And I'm curious about all of it. I really, really am. But
sure.
this just I believe the level of consciousness in our society is starting to realize, oh, wait, there's something else out there. This thing called energy. I can feel better just by picking up a brush, things like that. And I want more people to realize that. So when I'm engaged with somebody like you, for me, it's like, this is the way it's supposed to be. This is what we're doing here. And there's certainly other things, but this is probably the top of the stack.
Sure, thank you. I really appreciate that. And this is where my little spark comes alive too. And as well, when I'm connecting with clients and watching them do something, with color and line and
Hmm.
shape on the paper that has some meaning for them, and particularly watching them realizing that um, that their heart is really into this,
Mm.
and that they've been able to quiet that inner critic that we all have that is afraid we're somebody's going to make fun of what we drew. Well, in that moment when you're
Mm.
drawing it and there's someone there who's not making fun of you, it's a whole new feeling.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah,
Judgment is derails everything, as does, and I just shared this in a post with a group that I'm in, comparison. And what do we do? I
uh,
did it before when I used to draw. I used to, like I shared with you, I wanted to be a cartoonist. I would compare my art to others. Well, I'm not as good as Charles Schultz, and I'm not. La, 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 la. Comparison steals your joy.
it steals your joy. It
It does.
steals your joy, unless you're going to steal like an artist. That's the
Hmm.
title of a lovely book. And I'm so sorry, I can't remember the author's name, but that title is unique enough. And I think you ought to be able to find it if you just go on one of your online searches for book suppliers. It's by an artist who recognized that all artists learn from other artists. And that
Huh.
if you look at something that someone else has done, has created art wise, and notice something that you can learn from it, and then apply that learning to your own work, it's not the same as comparing yourself or judging either
Hmm.
your art or their art, but it's doing something more in depth. It's harvesting something that resonates with you and applying it to the way that you express your own work.
Well, steal is a very strong word. I
It
like to
is.
substitute that for inspiration or be inspired by somebody else. And that inspiration can be the fertilizer you sprinkle on your talents to help
Exactly.
them grow. And it could be as simple as a certain brushstroke or the way somebody draws or paints a tree, a sky, whatever it is. It's just little, and you could even look at two pieces of art. One by artist one, artist two. Artist two was inspired by maybe the leaves on the trees of artist one. Nobody knows. Nobody's going to say, wait, that tree looks exactly like artist one. Nobody knows.
Absolutely.
It's
That's
your
right.
interpretation of the inspiration.
So when you start to compare out to something you've done to someone else, you might be able to catch your breath, pause for a moment, and then say, wait, what can I harvest from what I see this person doing?
Hmm.
What fits or what might fit for me? And then go back to that definition of play that we were talking about at the end of last week. Play being when you try something out to see what happens. When kids play, they don't have an idea that this thing should happen this way. They're too new to the world to have even an idea of what the thing should do. So they're just out there like a scientist, actually, a fabulous scientist, just picking things up and turning them over and stacking them on top of each other or kicking them around or just manipulating the objects in their world to see what happens next. So, back
Hmm.
to this little spark that's in all of us, what I would like to do for the next few minutes, I've got picked out 10 little heart sayings. And I'd like to run each phrase by and invite everyone who feels open to it to notice, does that change the feeling of your spark? Does that make the spark feel like it's got more energy or it's sharing energy? Or does it make that spark feel like it needs to kind of keep its energy pulled in to itself? Does it make you imagine a certain color? Is
Hmm.
there a texture that comes to mind when you hear this? It could be all sorts of things. It could be an energy in your body. Does it make your feet want to jiggle up and down? Does it make you want to take a deep, slow breath, or does it make you want to kind of catch your breath?
Hmm.
Do your hands want to do anything? So, in this way, we're actually kind of using the body as the art medium and as the container for what wants to be expressed when you hear the kind of tone of these different expressions?
Let's dig in. I'm curious.
Okay.
Really am.
Okay, so to start with, I'm just going to say in my heart of hearts,
Oh, I have to say that. Oh, I'm sorry.
just listen to what happens to my saying in my heart of hearts. Notice what might come up for you. I mean, we're not saying what's in your heart of hearts. It could be different for every single person out there. But what
Sure.
is the gist of that beginning phrase? What do you want someone to know about what you're about to say next? In my heart of hearts,
So you're throwing this on me right now. Is that correct?
I'm throwing it out to
Okay.
all the listeners. What
Oh, okay.
happens in you when you hear that?
Interesting. Interesting. Okay.
So it's not so much content as it is
Feeling.
feeling. Yeah.
Yeah.
What feeling is somebody having who uses that expression to introduce what they say next?
Hmm.
And can you sort of feel a mirroring of that feeling in you when you hear it?
Interesting. Yeah. This is one where you just think to yourself and process, okay. Wow. All right.
Okay, now think about something that you might describe as your heart's delight. This is just my heart's delight. What color is that? What energy is it? Is it soft and misty or solid, fuzzy and warm, cold and slippery? My heart's delight.
I actually have a color and I'm conflicted on Heart's Delight as to what it
Okay,
might be. And that's not,
okay,
it's just I'm thinking, but instantly, and these are not, well, yeah, wouldn't be my first go-to colors, but I got red and orange.
okay,
Red and orange.
okay.
Very easy. Bam. Came right in.
And that's what we're looking for when we're doing these things, because your spark recognizes something about what that phrase is telling us. And, it might be, and this is just a guess, completely a hypothesis, but red and orange could be um, associated with passion, fire. Um,
Well, I'll share with you. I have a marketing company, and one of the colors in the logo is orange, and that's why this wall is actually orange. But
mhm,
it's not my go-to.
yeah,
I
yeah.
just like the way it looked with another color. And I guess subconsciously the vibrance of it and the passion, as you said. But you'll never see me wear red. You'll never see me wear orange. It's just not my thing. I just
Well,
don't like the way I look at it. And
that's interesting too, because when we wear something, we're not seeing it. The colors that we love, we really want to have outside of us where we can take them
wow.
in. So your wall is perfect.
Wow. Yeah. And I don't even know I'm staring at it, but it's orange. And
Sure.
I can't picture it any other color.
And I like the word you used, vibrant, because like when I think of my heart's delight, yeah, my heart would be vibrating with joy, with
Hmm.
pleasure, with excitement.
Oh, I just had a realization here, and you brought it. Um, Vibrant, I didn't know could be derived from vibration.
From vibration. I love when I just notice that in words. More and more that is happening for me. I don't know. It's because I'm so old. There's no new words, and so I'm starting to collect all the old
Well,
words
well,
and connect
I,
them.
I will even add that is there when you were talking about we were talking about being inspired by another artist. I was also wondering, is there anything new anymore? And I don't mean that in a negative way. Are we always just taking things, interpreting things, unless it's a all new invention. Is it really new? I just wonder. That was a ponderance. I was thinking about it the other day. Is everything just a reflection of something else? I wonder about that.
Yeah, I think there probably is no answer to that, but I think more important is what is new to us? What are we able to discover over the course of our exploration and experience as a human life on this planet? What can we discover that actually adds to our sense of well-being, or it adds to our sense of purpose, adds to our sense of awareness of having something to contribute, something to offer.
Well, here's the challenge with that. We, all of us, are challenged by change. So when it's something new, we sometimes resist it. We're not open to it. It could be technology. I'm not going to do that. And you push it all to the side because you fear it in some regards, deep down
Yeah.
inside.
Yep. Yep. That's very true. That I was a real computer phobe when computers first came out, and then graphic design first came out, because I was doing hands-on graphic design,
Mm.
and then took a couple years off with my first daughter. And when I went to go back into the field, everything had shifted over to computer graphics, and I
Yeah.
just basically kind of ran screaming from the room.
Mm-hmm. Oh, yeah.
Like,
Oh,
no, I can't do that. And since that time, I've been able to really take my time and warm up to it slowly. And that has worked much better for me, learning things that I didn't expect I'd be able to learn.
and it's pretty amazing that you can simulate a brushstroke on a computer and have,
It's
for
pretty
20 years you could do
amazing.
that. Yeah, just all of
Yes.
it.
Yeah. Yeah. So here's an expression that has some bearing to that. I didn't have the heart to learn it when it first came out. So there's another heart phrase. I didn't have the heart. How is that one different from the ones we've already mentioned? Heart's delight, in your heart of hearts. I didn't have the heart.
For me, it comes up with disappointment. And mostly, as we always hear, I didn't have the heart to tell them.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't want to be negative, but it just kind of rides on the negative. But there's nothing wrong with not feeling it, if you will, i.e., having the heart. But usually that phrase, didn't have the heart, is connected with a negative.
But it's also connected with compassion,
Hmm.
because not wishing to share bad news with someone is really the product of empathy and compassion, having the awareness that
Hmm.
someone is liable to experience, sadness, grief,
And you
um,
spared them from it.
and you want to spare them from it.
Hmm. Never thought of it that way. Wow.
There's always a flip side. Yeah.
This is why you're a therapist.
So yeah, so here's a couple of ones that are flips of each other. Hard-hearted, big-hearted.
Big-hearted. Wow. Hmm. Hmm. Yeah. I mean, right away, you just get this, bursting chest. Just somebody who wants to spread happiness to somebody else.
Absolutely. That's
Yeah,
right. That's right. Yeah. And interesting that you put it in body language. You had a sensation of your chest
I see
opening
it.
up.
That's I see it.
Right.
Hmm.
Yeah. Um, so that's kind of why I like to say, instead of home is where the heart is, I like to say the heart is where home is.
I love that so much better.
Do
Yeah.
you? I
Yeah, I
do
really do.
too. I do
Yeah,
too, because it sort of feels like, and I know it's true for both if you kind of analyze it, but it feels like home is never gonna leave you behind.
and
If your
also,
heart is where home is, then you're home.
right, right, and that's your home base. When you look at it and say, home is where the heart is, it can be very subjectionable because you get this picture of, the home with the fireplace and the rug and all of that. Well, maybe you don't have that. Maybe that doesn't exist in somebody's life, and that's perfectly fine, but it's almost as if you're putting that on somebody, and now there's a
Yeah,
comparison. Well,
right,
that's not what my
right.
home is. My home is crazy right now. Blah, 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 blah.
And the other way of seeing it that doesn't feel good to me is that I left my heart behind in what was once my home.
I've left my heart
Right,
in San
exactly.
Francisco.
Exactly. No, I'm sorry. I'm not ditching my heart. I'm hanging on to it. Yeah. I,
Wow.
I need this heart. I need this heart to do what it does, to like resonate, positively and negatively with feelings, because even when there is something negative going on, there's that, okay, could this relate to compassion? Could this help me make a real authentic connection with someone else, which I think is really where much of our joy in human life comes from.
I'm having so many epiphanies here. Like even that, I left my heart in San Francisco, whatever, however you want to phrase, work with that term.
Mhm.
Well, maybe the reason that you left your heart there was it didn't belong there in the first place. So grab it and take it with you because it belongs with you.
Exactly.
We're out of time. This is like just so cool. It really is. It's these phrases that we've heard, we internalize them, but maybe not in the right way, not in the best supportable way for all of us. Wow.
Yeah, we all absorb little beliefs about how things are supposed to be. And when we don't experience them that way, we can get sort of caught in this cycle of self-doubt. And what I'm all about really is inviting people to give themselves permission to go beyond the doubt and just feel what they feel. And notice how valid that is, because that spark is yours and yours alone.
Mm. And you'll always have it with you.
Always.
Sometimes it will get extinguished or close to extinguished
Yeah,
from,
it might go down to being just a little ember, but
yeah,
even those little embers, if you blow on them, if you give them a little breath, they can flare right up into warmth again,
just like that.
just like
And,
that.
and and that can happen with a pen or a brush for sure.
Yes,
Uh,
that's right. Or just an imagined scenario.
Thank you for all of this today. This has been a an eye opener and a reconnection with our hearts. This is what you do. How do we find you, Barbara?
Okay, my website is Robertson Art Therapy LLC.com, just spelled out Robertson. And my email is brobertson.atr, not ART. It would make more sense if it was ART, but it's ATR at gmail.com.
Wow.
And I'm happy to hear from anyone. Give a
Thank,
shout out.
yeah, absolutely. And you can work with people virtually, I'm sure, right?
Absolutely. Yes, I do. Mhm.
Thank you for today. Thanks for everything that you offer, and truly looking forward to being enlightened next time we get together.
Well, and I look forward to your take on things too. It is very enlivening for me as well.
I'm curious. I really am.
That's
And
a great place to come from. Absolutely.
well, I'll just say in closing, and I mean this not as a pun, but it comes from the heart.
Lovely.
Comes from the heart. All right. Have a
Yeah.
great weekend, and we'll talk soon. Okay.
Okay, great. Thanks, Steve.
This is the Global Podcast Network, where executives and professionals connect, share, and inspire. Stay tuned for the conversations that drive success.